Hollywood is facing a dramatic showdown, and this time, the battle isn't happening on a movie set. Paramount Skydance is reportedly considering moving its operations out of California after the state challenged the company's proposed $110 billion merger with Warner. California Attorney General Rob Bonta has described Paramount's reported relocation threat as blackmail. The dispute puts billions of dollars, thousands of jobs, Hollywood's future, and questions about competition in the entertainment industry at the center of a high-stakes confrontation. So, why is Paramount considering leaving California? Why does California want to stop the Warner Brothers deal? And what could this mean for Hollywood? Let's break down the story. At the heart of the controversy is a massive proposed merger between Paramount and Warner Brothers. The deal would combine two of the most recognizable names in global entertainment. Paramount has a huge portfolio of film and television properties, while Warner Brothers brings another enormous collection of studios, networks, and entertainment assets. The proposed transaction is valued at approximately $110 billion, making it one of the biggest deals in the history of the entertainment industry. The combination would create a dramatically larger entertainment company at a time when traditional Hollywood is already being reshaped by streaming, changing consumer habits, declining traditional television audiences, and intense competition for moviegoers. Paramount has argued that the merger could create a stronger company capable of competing in a rapidly changing media environment. But critics, including California and other states, have raised a very different concern. They argue that putting these major entertainment businesses under one corporate roof could reduce competition. And that is where the legal battle begins. California Attorney General Rob Bonta, along with attorneys general from 11 other states, has challenged the proposed transaction. Their lawsuit argues that the merger could give the combined company too much control over important parts of the entertainment market. One major concern involves the distribution of movies and cable television programming. The states argue that combining two major players could make it more difficult for competitors, distributors, theaters, and consumers to operate in a competitive marketplace. In other words, the question isn't simply whether Paramount and Warner Brothers can become one company. The bigger question is, what happens to everyone else if they do? Would the new company have too much bargaining power? Could theaters face fewer choices? Could competitors have a harder time distributing their content? And could consumers ultimately pay the price through higher costs or fewer options? Those are some of the questions at the center of the lawsuit. For California, the issue is especially significant because Hollywood is deeply connected to the state's economy and identity. Now comes the most dramatic development. According to reports cited by Bloomberg, Paramount's board has approved a possible plan to begin moving its headquarters operations out of California as early as October 1st. Paramount CEO David Ellison reportedly told senior executives that the process could begin with headquarters employees. But the reported plan could go much further. The company is said to be developing a 5-year strategy to move a large portion of its film and television jobs to a new location. That could represent a major shift for a company whose history is deeply intertwined with Hollywood. Paramount's potential relocation could also involve the future of one of the major studio properties in the Los Angeles area if the Warner Brothers merger ultimately goes through. For California, that raises the possibility of losing not just corporate offices, but potentially jobs, investment, and production activity. For Paramount, however, the move could be presented as a strategic decision about the company's future. And this is where the dispute becomes particularly heated. California Attorney General Rob Bonta has pushed back forcefully against the reported relocation threat. Bonta characterized the move as blackmail, arguing that California should not be pressured into abandoning its concerns about the merger. He has also indicated that he is not primarily worried about potential job losses if Paramount ultimately leaves the state. Instead, Bonta says California's efforts to challenge the merger are intended to protect competition. His position is straightforward. California should not approve a transaction simply because a company threatens to move elsewhere. Bonta has also suggested that any possible settlement would need to contain strong structural remedies addressing the competitive concerns identified in the state's lawsuit. That means California isn't necessarily saying that every possible version of the deal must be rejected. Instead, regulators could potentially demand significant changes designed to prevent the combined company from gaining excessive market power. But Paramount faces a different calculation. From the company's perspective, uncertainty surrounding the merger could delay its plans and make the transaction more complicated. One of the key issues is the relationship between the future Paramount Warner Brothers company and movie theaters. Paramount has reportedly offered written commitments to two major theater chains, AMC Entertainment and Regal Cinemas, operated by Cineworld, promising to release at least 30 movies per year in theaters. Why does that matter? Because theaters are concerned about the supply of major films. The modern entertainment industry has changed dramatically. Studios increasingly rely on streaming platforms, while movie theaters need a steady stream of major releases to attract audiences. If a massive entertainment company controlled a larger share of major film properties, critics worry that it could have greater influence over where and when those movies are released. Paramount's commitments appear designed to reassure theater operators that the merger would not starve cinemas of theatrical content. But California and the other states are looking at a much broader question. Are promises to individual theater chains enough to address the competition concerns created by the merger? That remains one of the central issues in the legal battle. The dispute is unlikely to be resolved overnight. California has already scored some important procedural victories. The state secured a March 2027 trial date, which is later than Paramount had wanted. California has also secured Paramount's commitment not to close the transaction until early June. That gives regulators and the courts additional time to examine the proposed merger. For Paramount, however, every month of uncertainty matters. The entertainment industry is changing quickly. Streaming businesses are competing for subscribers. Traditional television is under pressure. Movie studios are looking for new ways to reduce costs and increase global reach. And major technology companies are becoming increasingly important competitors in the broader entertainment ecosystem. A prolonged legal fight therefore creates uncertainty for both sides. The consequences could extend well beyond Paramount and Warner Brothers. If the merger is completed, Hollywood could see the creation of an entertainment giant with enormous influence across movies, television, and distribution. If the merger is blocked or substantially changed, Paramount and Warner Brothers would have to pursue alternative strategies in an increasingly competitive industry. And if Paramount actually begins moving major operations away from California, it could send an important signal about the future of Hollywood. California has historically been the center of the American entertainment business. But production and entertainment jobs have increasingly spread to other states and countries, where companies can benefit from tax incentives, lower costs, and other business advantages. A large-scale Paramount relocation could therefore become part of a much bigger conversation. Is Hollywood still tied to Hollywood? At its core, this isn't simply a fight between one company and one state. It's a battle over how much power the biggest entertainment companies should be allowed to have. Paramount says it needs flexibility to build a stronger company for the future. California says competition must come first. And both sides have something significant at stake. For Paramount, the merger could transform its position in the global entertainment industry. For California, the lawsuit represents an effort to prevent excessive concentration of power while protecting competitive markets. Meanwhile, employees, filmmakers, theaters, distributors and audiences are watching closely. The Paramount-Warner Brothers battle is now much bigger than a corporate merger. It is a confrontation over competition, jobs, Hollywood's future, and the power of the modern media conglomerate. Will Paramount remain in California? Will the $110 billion deal survive the legal challenge? And if it does, what conditions will regulators impose? For now, those questions remain unanswered. But one thing is clear. The future of one of Hollywood's biggest proposed mergers is being decided not just in boardrooms and studio lots, but in the courts and political offices of California. Stay tuned, because this Hollywood showdown is far from over.